anything less than that, we're going to feel a bit cheated. I think Warlords of Draenor only having 2 felt a little bit cheated. They were very long tiers, but we did feel.
Yeah, I feel like I don't mind. Like, I don't mind if it's 18 months instead of 2 years if we're still getting the same amount of content, just with maybe those lulls decreased. That's probably okay, you know.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah.
So, with that said, if we look at the first expansion within that, The War Within, do we have any opinions on the actual...
What, the actual storyline?
The storyline, the way it's going, the direction.
Yeah, I'm quite liking it. Because, I mean, you would hope from a BlizzCon they would announce something that's going to hype, right? So 3 expansions, that's a hype. If it's a new class or a new whatever, that's normally quite hype. But they can save that for the next couple of BlizzCons.
Yeah,
like announced 6 years worth of content. What's the hype at the next BlizzCon going to be?
Yeah.
So even though at the moment you're thinking, okay, so you're just going to go to a new story, a new zone, you're going to get one allied race. But I think once you hit that second one, what's it called?
Midnight.
I think that's where they might do a new spec or something along the line, new class
combos, or
so, yeah. I like the direction. So, the War Within, don't know too much about.
No, it seemed really early, right? It seems like it's really early in production. That we didn't get a lot of information, and it seems very early.
And a couple of zone names, and it's kind of like I have no idea where this story is going to go. But
I like the fact that it's interesting. Closing, like you're getting that closure on some of the stories that they haven't finished, and we're like actually ending stuff rather than starting new stuff. Because even with Dragonflight, like they technically they're saying that Dragonflight pushed from Shadowlands into where we're going now, but I feel like it was just new story. It was like, this is just new. This isn't anything to do with what we were doing. It's always been going somewhere else.
I didn't think it was, to be honest. I had no idea they were linked. So.
Like, they're supposed to be linked. That Shadowlands was supposed to be linked to Dragonflight, and Dragonflight was supposed to be linked to the new expansion. And it definitely feels like...
Dragonflight definitely didn't feel... No.
It definitely feels like Dragonflight links into the next expansion, which is good.
Yeah, well, that's good.
Dragonflight felt, like Dragonflight did not feel connected to Shadowlands in the slightest.
Nothing felt connected to Shadowlands, really. It felt
we
very...
did this last time, right? I remember when we did this last time, I remember thinking, who are we going to fight? Like, I didn't feel like...
Yeah, do we actually have...
a brand new story, right?
Do we have any predictions on bosses that we might actually see, or any...
I got nothing. Nothing really comes to my mind.
Like
I don't know an awful lot about the lore, so it's not like if you say underground, I'm thinking, that thing.
Yeah, so. like with Xalatath and stuff like that. Naifu being a big
Naifu.
Yeah, Naifu. I played Shadow Priest for Legion, so I was like, I'm quite attached to Xalatath. I don't want to fight Xalatath.
That was the legendary weapon, right?
Yeah, it was our artifact. It was Shadow Priest artifact weapon.
That's it. Yeah.
Yeah,
that'd be cool.
And I don't want to. It's like I got quite attached to it because she talked to you. She was one of the ones that actually talked to you. I think there was a few, but there was so much that she would just talk to you during the middle of like a raid boss. She'd message you, be like, and it's like, I don't want to fight
How
Xalatath.
are you doing?
Yeah, like, what are you doing? This is my friend.
Really well.
Don't make me fight my friends.
Yeah, but yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it feels like terms of story, it's sort of hard to know with the info we have really where it's going at the minute.
Like I said, it's really early.
It's quite early days.
We know it's Anduin, Illyra, and Thrall, right? They said Thrall?
Anduin with his Anduin's glow up, of course, as well.
Yeah, Manduin, as he's been commonly called now. I prefer Bearduin, but
did look a bit rough and ready, didn't he?
Yeah. I was going to say the cinematic was definitely
the actual look
top
of it.
Tier.
It took me a couple of 30 seconds to a minute to realize that was not a real actor.
Yeah, I know they said they used real actors for it.
Oh, well, just for the motion of it, I suppose.
Yeah,
probably facial capture and stuff like that. I think they do with a lot of actors.
Yeah.
I don't think they actually used any motion capture. I think it was just as reference. They used actual actors as a reference, and then it was all hand animated. or something like that. That it was, and it's like, yeah, they just put every single animation studio to shame, like in instant, in one cinematic.
Yeah.
Okay, I don't think they could ever produce a series like that. I think it'd take too long.
They're quite short. That's the thing. Because I mean, even something like something like Diablo, like the animation's fantastic, and the the cutscenes and things. But trying to do that for like a full series or like even a movie, I think would be a different volume.
Definitely quite extreme.
Yeah, come a long way from sort of the RAF era when they had to use in-game content to make.
And even their in-game stuff is so much better now than it was back then.
Yeah.
It's just improved massively.
Still quite jarring though when you see like the quality of like like the intro movie or like cutscene, and then like it goes to like in-game graphics, and it's sort of it is quite jarring, the difference.
It definitely hits you in-game when you get the in-game cinematic, and then after you get like a proper cinematic, actually in-game, and it's like, this is a little bit immersion breaking, because it's like we went from this very stylized look, which WoW has a very, I would say, iconic look, to this very, very, very polished cinematic, and it's a little bit immersion breaking because they're so different.
Yeah, there's people who meant to be like the same characters who basically look nothing like.
Yeah, Anduin didn't look quite the same.
Yeah, he's not really quite as rugged.
That was the trade-off, right?
Yeah.
But yeah, in terms of like the actual content and the story, I'd have no idea with the War Within. I think, like you said, with Midnight, you got like a void theme, so it's
and elves. There's definitely a lot of elves.
And elves.
Yeah. And then the last one, I don't think we actually got any information on that. Like any information, just a name.
Yeah, that's pretty much it.
Yeah, I think it might, because I think they mentioned Northrend actually, which
that'd be cool.
I think they did. I'm pretty sure. Yeah.
Oh yes, I think they did.
They just said we're gonna go back there. Yeah.
Which might be an Ulduar, like I think an Ulduar rework sort of thing, like completely different Ulduar, but I think there's going to be Ulduar sort of Dragonblight and stuff like that all mixed in.
Yeah, it makes sense.
Yeah,
I'm cool with all that. Sounds good.
Yeah. So now, if we move over to one of the more controversial topics of the announcement, is the early access.
I have the elephant in the room right there,
Yeah,
you could do an hour on this alone, really.
Easily.
At it, not even anything else.
So
yeah.
What are your if we start? What is everyone's opinion on the early access?
I actually watched the Q&A earlier, and like they were kind of trying to sell it as if we're trying to add more value to like the top end edition. But I'm like, most people aren't going to see it like that. I don't see it like that. It doesn't feel like they're giving something. It feels like they're taking something away from people who just want to buy the base game. Yeah. And they're trying to frame it differently, but I didn't really buy that.
I'll put it this way: this is the first time I've ever bought the top end version of the game, because I feel like I have to.
Same. Yeah, it is that thing. Like, I think there's a lot, probably in our situation, where you're quite serious about the game, but you don't really feel the need normally to buy the top end edition.
Yeah.
You kind of just want to buy the expansion and play it, but you want to play it, right away. It kind of forces you, like, it makes you, like that fear of missing out sort of thing. You kind of have to buy into that. Yeah,
Yeah, I've got.
And like, and I kind of like I've bought like that edition, but I kind of resent having to do it, and I think there's going to be a lot of people in that same situation.
Yeah. It definitely feels a little bit like I'm hoping it gets changed to be any pre-order, but again, I see that as unlikely because now people have already pre-ordered the bigger version, and
I don't think they'll change it.
The longer it goes on, the more people buy it, the harder it is.
They'd have to give all the money back.
Yeah,
they don't want to do that.
No,
so
I don't think. It might be saying
maybe.
I think it could be saying that they change not for this expansion. It may be saying that they look on for the next one and go, that was a mistake. Okay. We're not going to do that again. Yeah. We're going to offer early access, but it's for anyone that pre-orders. If you pre-order, you get your early access.
Yeah, that's a normal thing, right? A lot of devs do that.
I feel like to the beta. I still don't like it. Personally, I don't like offering early access on pre-orders. I think it's just a scourge of the gaming industry at the moment. But
I've got a friend who refuses to ever pre-order. He uses that South Park quote quite a bit, and I can't actually remember the exact one, but about I think it's Stan that says it or something about what you're doing when you're pre-ordering, but
yeah,
I won't go into it. But he refuses. He's never ever pre-ordered something.
In some ways, it's a shame we all just didn't do that, because then it wouldn't really get them anywhere. But people are going to do it, and then you feel like you have to do it to
exactly.
Yeah, especially like myself. I want to participate in Race to World first. I actually want to compete in that first to 80 race.
Mm-hmm. So you're forced into it.
Yeah.
If you don't, you've automatically lost. Oh no, I'm not going to catch up after 3 days. That just doesn't happen.
But it was done it by 3 days.
It's going to be done in hours. It's over in hours. Like, it's not a race that like I cannot skip it. It's like one of those. No, I have to. If you want to participate in that race, which again, it feels a little bit, especially as somebody who wants to participate, feels a little bit like it invalidates that race a little bit, because there could have been somebody who wanted to participate, literally cannot afford. Like, if they can't afford that extra 40 quid, or I don't know how much
it makes it a pay to. It turns into a little bit of pay to win.
It does for that race.
Paywall as well. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, and it sort of invalidates it a little bit. Like, it feels like maybe somebody who, if I end up winning, it's always going to be in the back of my mind. Did I win because somebody who could have beaten me just couldn't afford it? Like, because it is a lot of money. The difference between the base version and the super expensive version is twice the price in the UK, I think.
Nearly, it's close to, I think it's like £30 or £35 more or something. It's not far off.
I think it's like $39.99 for the base version, and then $79.99 for the Epic. I think.
Yeah, I mean, you get like a month subscription with that, but still, even if you factor that in, it's still like 35
it's
more.
Still really expensive. Like, you get loads of other extras and things like that. But I'm not a mount collector. I'm not a pet collector. I'm not too fussed about. Like, some of them are nice, but I've never really.
The other stuff I would not have bought that edition for any of the other stuff. Like, I would just buy this edition, but I feel forced into buying this more expensive edition.
Absolutely, I didn't buy that for anything else apart from the 3 days. Just black and white, and that's it.
Like, I guess a lot of people. I guess that's gonna be a lot of people for sure.
Do we actually see any advantages to 3-day early access?
I can actually see one is that you're splitting up the release day, even though that's fun and to everyone to be joined on and sort of go at the same time. You're splitting that up into 2, possibly, maybe even 60-40. 80-20 even, but at least it takes the load off a little bit. There's a possibility of there being less issues, because
better service stability. But the people are still going to be able to play the game, right? Like, that's the thing. They're still going to be online, because they're just not going to
play WoW, but just not on the new.
Just not
which actually makes it really feel worse, because you have to watch people level.
Yeah, I was going to say that's the worst part, is that people who didn't like. If I didn't have it, I think it's one of the few times I'd be like, no, I'm not logging on WoW for 3 days, because that's gonna it's gonna hurt.
Yeah, I know. I'm the same. Like, if I couldn't afford it, I wouldn't be logging in.
And that feels bad. Like, that's a part that, like, I would feel bad for. Like, and again, it's one of those things that makes you not want to do it, because it makes you feel bad for the people who can't.
Yeah.
Get it?
Oh no, I don't feel bad. I'm doing it. I don't feel bad. I just think it's a bad decision.
Those people.
Yeah. There was one.
I wouldn't like to be one of those people, though.
No, it's one of those. I feel bad for the people who can't afford it or don't want to. Like, it's principle. Like, I know there's people who I can afford it, but I don't want to. Like,
there's a principle.
I refuse to do that. I know I will be pre-purchasing, but.
Yeah, because I kind of didn't want to buy it in principle, but I just knew, like, no, I'm going to.
No, you're going to feel left out.
I know everyone else is going to be doing it. Yeah.
Feel left behind.
And it's one of those, you're not going to, like, Mythic Plus isn't open. Mythic Zeros aren't open. I imagine that they could go to the extreme, lock Heroics. They can make, like, none of the rares spawn. You're still 3 days behind. Like, it's like one of those things. It's fun to experience. Okay, I know I get way ahead of everyone else because I participate in speed leveling. But I know part of the fun of the new expansion is to experience it together. You go exploring together.
That's what they're kind of splitting that up, which I think is about. I think the early access in general I don't like for most games, but I feel like it's worse with WoW. I
think
because like
MMOs,
big part of the expansion.
Really
it's that experience, isn't it? Of like everyone level together on like the first day.
Oh, did you check out this quest? No, I haven't been there yet. Like, that's really fun. Go over that way. Yet. And it's like,
no, I can't play expansion yet.
Yeah, like, have you been there? Have you been to have you done the side quest over to the thing? No, I haven't done that. I didn't even know it was over there. Like, oh, it's really good, go check that out. Or, you know, there's a cool mount
it looks that shared experience.
Here. Yeah, you lose that shared experience. And I think that's really sad.
Yeah, I don't think it's good.
The other thing there about like server issues, you say, I think they're also opening themselves up for criticism if like they still have server issues, especially people who've paid to play 3 days early. People can't log in; they're going to be in for
I know that's on there as a what's it called, like a star. Like, hey, there could be server issues, but it's like,
yeah.
I mean, Diablo was terrible when they gave the early release as well. That wasn't.
Yeah, I
easy,
played.
Even though
I did play that.
So
yeah,
I didn't play it. I'd had a friend that played it and couldn't even get on. So
I
get the early release.
I played, and I actually think my experience wasn't too bad, but I was playing hardcore, so I think they use different servers for the hardcore, and
oh, did they?
I think they're on different servers. It's similar to like different realms in WoW and things like that. Like I think they use different ingest servers and whatnot. So if for example softcore goes down, hardcore doesn't go down at the same time, and things like that. I think they're all on different hardware. So I think, I'm not 100%, like, don't quote me on that one. I think they're on different. I think there's
comments. Like, well, actually,
yeah.
And we have the next caller in.
The other one was beta access, because you get guaranteed beta access with a pre-purchase. Is this anything that you feel anything about?
That's only the top edition as well, isn't it? Is that only the top edition?
Is that only the top? I thought it was the other one as well.
I think
is it Epic maybe?
I think it was the middle. I can double check quickly.
I looked at this. But that's quite a normal thing for developers to do. Beta access when you get this pre-order version, which I don't really mind, to be honest.
I think that's okay. I feel like that's where they should have stopped it, really, but that's okay. I think.
I feel like beta access is only available to the top version. It is only available to the Epic version.
Is it?
Yes.
Oh, okay, that's even
yeah.
But
still, it's nowhere near as bad as 3 days early access, so it's like feels minor compared to that.
Like,
most developers do it as pre-order, not pay extra money.
Yeah.
So a little bit cheeky.
Still sketchy, but it's just the 3 day thing feels so bad that this feels like nearly swept under a little bit. I guess
3 days, it just doesn't. It doesn't sit well.
That's what we have our burning torches for, you know.
Yeah, but the problem is I'm going to do it, so that's.
And that means that it sort of okays it, right? The fact that everyone's going to do it
jokes on us.
It just okays
exactly.
it. I know there was big backlash with the Diablo one, because they put in a hardcore race to 100, and it's like, so wait, if I want to participate in this hardcore race, I get 3 days ahead of everyone who doesn't. Well, if you want to compete in that race, you've got to buy the biggest version because you want to compete in that race.
Yeah, they paywalled it off.
Yeah, and it was like, again, it feels bad to buy early access. And like I said, I didn't mind too much in Diablo. Again, it's probably because I'm not as into that game. It's not as much of a thing for me. Whereas WoW, it feels like it definitely hits heavier. And the beta access, I never like it when they give out. I don't like it when developers give out beta access to people to pay for. Beta access is there for them to test their content. You want the people who test content to go in. You don't want the people who go in, check whether or not they like the expansion. You don't care about them people. Them people don't matter.
Yeah, they've lost the meaning of it, right?
Yeah.
Quality testing, right?
You want the people who are actually going in and testing content.
Try and break it.
Yeah, you want the people who break it. You want the people who go in.
You're totally right there. Because I'm going into it to try the game, see if I like it. I'm not going in to test bugs.
No, you go in and you want the people who go in, like myself, I test. I go in and I will try and break. If there's an intro scenario, I will try and break it as hard as I can. And I will find bugs with it. Even if they benefit me, I report them. That's just how I work. If I know I can save myself, and that's why I'm breaking it, is because I want to get through it as quick as I can. If I break it and it saves me a minute, I'm still reporting it because it's not intended, right?
I guess there's some people who'll see that and then think, oh, I'll try and maybe I can use that in the actual game, you know, rather than thinking.
Well, definitely, you hear that from top guilds, right? They'll find
bugs and they won't report them. That's a whole nother conversation about like whether or not they should be reporting things.
Not with that kind of worms right now.
Yeah, that's a huge conversation because I know there's two very different opinions on it. But like I said, the beta access shouldn't be there for people to just test. Like it should be there to test. It shouldn't be there to just try the game. It's there for testing.
Yeah.
It's there to.
In some ways, like you're doing them a favor in some ways by playing beta, like to discover, like what bugs are, etc.
Exactly.
So you're paying for the privilege, I guess.
Yeah, I'm paying to test content. Huh? Like no.
Yeah, when you put it like that, it's actually even worse.
All your top players should have beta access because they're going to test the content. They are. And they can, even if they don't report things like that, they can see what they're doing. 100%. They can look at the logs. They can look at they've probably got like weird ways of checking what each character did, how each boss reacted. Then the top guilds will always have beta access. You can guarantee that.
Yeah.
The other content, like your questing, your initial intro experiences, all of your like mount testing and things like that, how an expansion actually plays, I think that's a lot harder for them to actually get information on. And I don't think beta access for anyone who buys the Epic Edition, which is going to be a huge amount more people than it usually would because they're just buying for the 3 days, aren't going to be testing the content.
Yep.
And do they have a set amount of people that they give beta access to so the people who would usually get it aren't getting it because there's all of these people with beta access and they have to be wary that, hang on, if we get this many people accessing the beta at the time, we just don't have the hardware to deal with that many people.
Get load issues. They don't put a lot of servers onto a beta, do they?
Well, I'm guessing they don't. They're not going to be putting the same as they put on live content.
No. I was sort of thinking it's like people who don't buy this version, they're also going to be less beta keys or less beta access there for everyone else.
Yeah.
So just logistically there has to be.
Yeah, because and maybe there's not. Maybe they're just going to count on people not actually logging in beta. And like I said, I don't think beta access for any game should ever be something that you pay for. It should be something that
I agree.
You apply for and they think you're a good fit for what they like. Beta access should be something you apply for. It shouldn't be a random key. It shouldn't be a random like giveaway or anything like that. It should be something you apply for and you say what you want to test. Yeah, top guilds should get it because they're going to be testing the content. If you're just going in and you're just going in to check whether you like the expansion, you're not going to be testing stuff. You're not going to be actually trying to break stuff. You're not going to be going, hang on, if I do this in a slightly different way, if I walk off because I'm trying to do something, like I get distracted, does that break this quest? No idea. Like, do the NPCs despawn? Do they do this? Like, you want testers, and I'm not scared, but like it does worry me that you might lose those people.
Yeah, I'd hope they'll have internal people that do that, but I hope they'll have like some companies they use that they know they can go to quality test the game.
100%. They've got people who do that. It's just that like it's like one of those things.
It's volume, definitely. Yeah.
You want more.
Yeah, and
volume of quality testing is the kind of the thing you need.
Beta test to me shouldn't be basically early access that gets reset, which is how it feels.
Yeah.
It feels like it's early access that you just get wiped. Like it's like a trial. And it shouldn't be a trial. It should be an actual test.
I think that's a wider issue though, I
think that's the gaming industry in general.
Yeah, a lot of developers use that, as you said. Only until you've said it, I've really thought about it and thought that's completely changed the meaning of beta testing.
Yeah, it's there to test, not to try. Like you're there.
Yeah, there's a lot of games you actually buy now. They're in beta where you buy them, but you still have to buy the game. You know,
like
big thing. It's games you buy that are in alpha for years. It's like, why did I buy this game?
Yeah, no, you're testing because you're paying. Like it's free. They're getting free labor basically off of it, and it's not. I don't have issues with them using free labor. Like if people want to test a game because they love the game, or they think the game has potential, that's fine. But don't make people pay for it. Don't make people think they're getting a bonus when they're not actually getting a bonus. They're doing something because they love the game. You're going to find bugs. You're going to find things. And people find bugs on beta. And you can guarantee if they're not actually testing, they're not going to report it. They're not going to take the time to actually do a detailed report on what they were doing. Oh yeah, what were you doing when this NPC despawned? I was doing the quest. That's not helpful. What were you actually doing? Like, how were you doing the quest? Like, I just feel like
anything I ever test is my class, right? So I'll go on and test this new tier with enhance, and if it isn't working as it's intended, I will submit something to do with that because I want my class to play right. But other than that, I'm not testing anything else.
All those other classes, you know.
No, I'm not. I'm not testing. Oh, is this quest break?
Yeah.
I'm just not. I'm like you said. I'm using it as a, how is enhanced playing? Am I going to play that again?
So Forker in the chat just said, like, what's the difference between people playing beta that get it via the drop gift giveaways or just buying it with the X pack? To me, there's no difference between them two people.
No, I don't think there is.
There is no difference. They're both not good candidates. They might be good candidates, but there's no guarantee that they're good candidates for beta testing.
Yeah, it's not being picked on merit. It's either buying it or randomly. It's kind of the same thing.
They're the same. They're the same demographic of people. Like if you put them in, like, what's the circles? The overlapping circles.
Venn diagram.
Oh, yeah.
Venn diagrams. They're in the same. They're in the same big circle to me, and you want the people that are in the one that overlaps with that, where they're going to be good beta testers. I don't agree with the practice of giving out drops, giveaways of beta access. I don't agree with any of it.
I think you're right.
But
there is limited access. You're right. Yeah.
The thing is, the testing of the classes and things like that, like, doesn't help with beta access. Like, you should test the classes. Like, I guess there are advantages, but PTR is there. Like, that's the thing. Like, PTR is there. But we shouldn't be testing class. We shouldn't be getting beta access. We shouldn't be using the PTR just to test classes without providing feedback. That makes that, like, they could do so much more with the. I feel like they could do so much more with PTR and beta if people actually gave feedback on it. I feel like a lot of people go in, they try out a class, go, that's not for me, but never explain why it's not for them. They don't explain, oh, I couldn't use this ability because it was bugged. Oh, my tier set's not proccing. They go on Twitter and complain about it. They go on Facebook and complain about it. They go to their guild and go, yeah, don't play Unholy DK, the tier set's broke. Or play Unholy DK, I'm doing crap tons of DPS because my tier set is broke.
I wouldn't tell you that. When I don't play it, don't steal my gear.
Well, that's why you do want a certain amount of like the right type of people who are going to report and going to like test these things. Like I know, like it's not something I would do. Like I do QA for a job. I don't really want to do it in a game as well, you know. But you do want people who are actually going to like make the bug reports and test everything out. You know, that's kind of, like you said, meant to kind of be the point of it.
Yeah. I just think that they could do so much more if people were actually more willing to do it. And I think one of the ways to get people more willing to do it is actually not reward them with it, but like make beta access more exclusive. Don't make it so anybody gets in. Make it so that you have to earn access to the beta by giving good like one of the best things would be if you give good PTR feedback, you log on the PTR because they can see your account details. They know that you're giving, whether or not you're giving PTR feedback. If you're logging on and giving good PTR like feedback, you have a very good chance of getting in the beta.
I agree with that. You got a good track history of giving them stuff to work on and fix.
Yeah.
You should get in right.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that would be more than fair.
Yeah. Well, they can track that as well, right?
Yeah, they probably got like
whether
or not you go on beta, whether or not you do this, whether or not you do that.
Yeah. Easy. So I tell you what, one thing we haven't mentioned, now we're ranting, is the war bands.
War bands? Oh, that's
I feel like one person here might
winds you up.
Yeah. One of these is not like the other, I think, here in terms of opinions on this.
Yeah, there's going to be a majority vote here, and we like it.
Okay, so one last thing on the beta access, just to close it out. Mm-hmm. I will say that the more stuff that they do get, the more information they get, there is an advantage to that. So the more people that are in, the more data they have. I just feel like that they could maybe make it a little bit better. Like I said, reward people for actually giving good feedback and reward people for giving that feedback. And
oh yeah, definitely.
I don't think offering beta access for money is the answer.
And especially those people who are giving the good feedback, like, the people who have been making the effort to give them good feedback, it's now a little bit of a slap in the face. It's like, you can give us more feedback, but you have to pay us for it, you know?
Yeah. Stupid.
That is one of those. Okay, we'll move on to warbands.
Yeah.
So I don't necessarily have an issue with warbands. I know a lot of people are excited with them. I do have some concerns, personally.
Is there a limit on the amount? Because I remember seeing there was like a stream of 5 on.
They said it was like. Said something like 50 or 60 on like the Q&A.
Oh, wow.
It's all of
not
your
just one
characters.
It's not just one account either.
No.
It's multiple accounts. If you've multiple accounts in the same Battle.net, I think they all...
Yeah.
I thought you said it was server. It works across server, right?
So the initial, the login screen is for your characters that you get to pick. Doesn't matter what server they're on, where they are. Yeah. They just have to be on the same account. Your warband will be your whole Battle.net account. So if you have, like myself, I have 2 Battle.net accounts. I have 2 accounts attached to my Battle.net account. It'd be all of your characters. If you have 60 characters on both of those, your warband is 120 characters.
That's amazing.
They did say there's some boundaries between accounts. They can't share everything. But I think
they were very vague on what that actually was.
Yeah. They just said there's certain boundaries in place that they can't really cross at the minute.
Yeah. I do think there is, like I said, I have concerns with warbands. Mostly.
I know one of your concerns, and I agree with it, in that it's going to enable a lot easier access to just jump onto the Flavor of the Month class.
Exactly. That's one of my biggest ones.
Fully repped up, fully geared. And that issue you had at the end of this last season with the God comp, the God squad, that would be even more of an issue. Right?
Exactly.
Everyone can jump over and do that. And instead of thinking, I can't be asked to gear up and go through this rep and go through this, they'll be like, oh, well, all I've got to do is do a couple of runs and I'm good to go.
But I don't think I don't think that was just a warband thing. I think that was the crafting system as well in general. You know,
oh yeah,
this
the crafting
season
system is not
like,
I think it was so easy to on new characters to catch up, especially later in the season when you have so many sparks.
I think that's one of the issues that I have, especially if this the current crafting system goes forward, even in its current weakened state that we're getting for this season. If that goes forward, I think it's way too easy. There is no class loyalty, none whatsoever.
There's none now.
And I think this whole God comp thing, okay, I disagree that I will disagree that was an actual God comp, because I think there was lots of replacements you could make. There was lots of things that you could do to actually make that improve that comp. It was just nobody was innovating. I think Affliction. I do actually think Affliction was a better place than Fire Mage, personally.
Than the tank.
Yeah. Sorry, I said the A word I shouldn't have.
But one of the biggest things that I think is that one of the reasons there was no innovation or anything like that is because the top people said this is the best comp. It was super easy to roll to that comp because gearing this season was ultra fast, which I think made it so easy to get that I'm going to play the best comp, because we can all just re-roll instantly, and now we've got a bear, a paladin, the orc, the fire mage, and the shadow priest. And it's like, okay, so when you make it so easy to re-roll, and that's my concern with warbands, is not only do you have the shed renown resources and all of that, you're going to have the shed achievements, which means it's going to be easy to go get into groups.
And you also get that new gear thing where you can give to your ults.
Right? And then on top of that, you add the warband gear. And the warband gear...
So now you're going to get...
That's from Delves, isn't it?
It's from everywhere.
Is it from Delves?
It was all content.
I read somewhere that will only be given to you if your ult needs a bit of a catching up. I don't know how it knows which ult.
Yeah, that's what I mean. And it's like one of those that if for example, say warband gear is, I think someone said, I think in an interview it was said to be like they said it's very early, so they'll probably be taking feedback on it and things like that. But if an item is, say, 6 to 8 levels lower than the content that you're doing mythic raids, you're doing plus 20s, getting a warband piece of gear that's 6 to 8 levels lower than mythic gear is heroic gear.
Massive. That's a huge jump for a character you're not playing.
Huge. If you're not playing that character. And again, that promotes rerolling. There's no class loyalty to the class that you're actually playing. Everyone then goes, okay, so what's the best class at the moment? I'm going to go reroll to that because it's easier to get into groups. And then you end up with this big problem where nobody can get into the group if you're not playing that class. The people who have class loyalty are actually the ones that are struggling, instead of the people who are re-rolling.
Thing is, like, I feel like a counterpoint to that, I feel like it, in one way, like in the MMO, you kind of want to have that progression in your character, but at the same time, it's kind of nice that you can jump onto something else and gear up and try something else out to keep the game fresh too. I think, I actually kind of like that too. Like, I like going.
Well, that's the thing. I like it too, but I don't think we're people that jump onto the flavor of the month straight away. There might be a case if your class is really shy, you think, I'll go.
I don't play Shadow Priest at the start of the season or anything,
Well, yeah, that's the thing.
You re-rolled up with the best class.
Paladin. But it's what you said. It should be, and it never really is. Is I want an alt to try and just play around in Mythic Plus for a bit. Like I did that this season a little bit, which I normally wouldn't do because it was so easy to gear. But I wouldn't instantly swap, and I think that's why Warband will help me do that personally. Just to play on a class that I enjoy playing, but I don't want to main or anything like that.
Keeps the game a bit fresher. I feel like you can. Okay, I'm a little bit bored. I'm a little bored at the minute. I'll try something else. Like, okay, this is kind of fun. Kind of
exactly.
things up.
Running an extra if I've done 10 Mythic Plus runs on my enhanced, I don't want to do another 10 on the enhanced. But actually, I wouldn't mind doing another 10 on the Disc Priest. It gives it that.
I think there's
longevity of a bit.
There's like being able to reroll. I think there are advantages to being able to play multiple classes. Like they said, the ecosystem has changed. Alts are super prevalent.
I can't. You've ruined it now.
Prevalent.
There you go.
There we go.
For one time, no one pronouncing things right,
But yeah,
that was very poor of you.
Alts are super prevalent, but they shouldn't be that easy to get into the best content. Just because I picked up this class, I leveled it up I bought a boost, so I'm instantly max level. I gave it all of this warband gear. I have no idea what I'm doing, but I just jumped into the plus 18 because I have the gear for it.
Because you have the gear. Yeah, that's another thing as well. Like, I wouldn't do that. Even if I had the gear, I would want to try it on lower keys first just so I get the hang of it. But a lot of players.
I don't think there will be people. I think people will just jump into. I did a plus 22 on my 4. I'm using current things, but I did it on my druid that's 441. I've now just switched to a blood DK because blood DK is looking really strong for this season, and you get insta dead because they're completely different. Like
difference between the two is night and day. So
yeah. Okay, that's down to class design, and that's again a whole nother conversation. And I just think there's issues with class loyalty with warband items, and I think it definitely, like, the people who actually are loyal to their class. If you are like a die-hard feral druid, you've been screwed for the last 6 years because it's never ever been meta. Like. The whole of Shadowlands, not meta. The whole of this expansion, not meta. If anything, it's always classed. I think they're really good. I think the people who play them are generally really good players. But you haven't been meta for ages, which means that it's so hard for you to get into groups. And you're being punished for being loyal to your class when you should be being rewarded for being loyal to your class. And I feel like all of these changes just don't equate to that. They punish you for being loyal to your class. I know
that should be more on a dev thing, right? They should be. But I mean, they do it a lot. They're changing a lot of specs, but they should be picking up those specs that have been.
Is it a dev thing? But my point, I think my biggest point is, I don't think it should be a dev thing to pick up the classes that are worse. Like, Feral Druid has its niche. It has its thing that it's good at, right? I think what devs should be doing instead of pushing specs up, they should be making ecosystems where the people who are loyal to their class get picked up. So if you're a good Feral Druid, it shows that you're a good Feral Druid. Your loyalty class, you've been playing it for ages. Instead of going, okay, all of the good...
like what?
But that would almost be Raider IO score, and that still doesn't count for some people.
Yeah, but it's not just feral. That. It's your Raider IO score is up here, yeah? Let's say you've got a... Sorry. Your Raider IO score is up here.
I had to guess what you said. I went about here.
Yeah. Funny thing, because in Discord we can't actually see your camera, so I was like, is he making a hand gesture right now?
I reckon he's doing about this.
Yeah. But let's say your Feral Druid is up here with Raider IO score 3.1k. Good, really good Feral Druid, right? Then you've got your 2.9 Org Voker. Right? You've got one spot left in your key. You haven't got an Org Voker. You're picking that Org Voker every single time at the moment, right? What I'm saying is, what's stopping that current Feral Druid that's at 3.1 just going, I know I can instantly get into groups if I just go Org Voker, especially if you're introducing Warband gear. They just go, I've got loads of gear in my Warband. I'm just going Org Voker because I can get in groups. And you lose all of that class loyalty. You lose all of them cool Feral Druids that were...
I agree.
And that sucks.
Also, on the other end of that, though,
I
don't feel like you want to like punish people either, who maybe aren't enjoying their class or spec anymore, like by making them, kind of want to have a balance where you don't want to make it like ridiculously hard for them to just switch healer. I think maybe the balance skew too far one way at the minute, but I feel like you kind of have to maybe have somewhere in the middle there.
I think there's a definite, like, we're not game developers, we have no idea. Like, there's so many different things that turn and cause the environment to change,
and we haven't touched on it, but the new hero talents, I feel like that's going to be a really hard multiplier on the balance.
Yeah, again, you can, especially as they're adding cosmetic looks to them, and it's like, we're really lucky. We're in a guild that does Mythic Plus with each other, and you can pretty much play whatever you want. I will run Mythic Plus with you, and I will tank your keys. I will heal your keys. I don't care if you play, what's classed as the worst? Assassination Rogue. I don't care. Like, play whatever you want. As long as you're having fun, that's the bit that matters to me.
There's still quite a lot of us who want to play something that's good. It doesn't have to be necessarily meta, but you want to play something that's actually not terrible either,
But, like, you play, like, for me, if people play whatever they want, that's good. I don't care. I will take whatever class I want. I have no issue with that. I think the people like me in the Pugland are very, 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 very few and far between. I think there are people that will just take whatever pops up first. Yeah, I'll take you. Yeah, I don't want 2 druids because I want to split my buffs a bit, but yeah, I'll take them. And you've just got 4 random people. I feel like them groups generally do way better than the ones who try and cherry pick the best comp. But like I said, I think
silly as well though. It's like the mid-range key. It's like in the higher rank keys, I kind of understand what they take the best stuff, but you'll find that'll trickle down to people doing like mid-range, even lower keys, like looking for Aug Voker for +10 or something. You're like, why?
Yeah, looking for the comp group in like a +15 or something, and kicking people that are rejecting people, and it's like you don't need it.
And I feel like if you add more ways for people to play alts, you just push that issue even more into the forefront. You're just making it more and more of a problem because you've got so many.
Yeah, I don't disagree. I think we saw it in the last season.
It was too easy to gear. This season was so easy to gear. Everyone re-rolled to the best comp. I know so many.
Even for your main, it was too easy to gear. Like it just meant you like hit the max item level really quickly, and then it kind of got boring faster because you had nowhere to go.
I was going to say.
Yeah, I don't think I hit max or close to max that quickly.
It was for
my
DK.
It was too quick, way too quick.
I got 445 on week 3, and I didn't get another upgrade until week 13. So I went 10 weeks without an upgrade. And that's insane.
IO season week.
Yeah, it showed your gear progression,
Bang, and then you just kind of gently...
I know they made mistakes. I think they've admitted that this season was too good. Like, it was way too easy to gear this season.
It was early. It was fun early on. It felt really good early on. It just didn't have longevity. That was the problem.
Yeah,
because we're getting loads of gear.
Yeah, like
even my pal, I re-rolled a paladin. I can't remember how many weeks in. It wasn't maybe 5 or 6 weeks, something like that.
Oh, you
maybe
caught up like.
Within 3 weeks. Yeah, I was 446 within 3 weeks, and then I basically didn't go up an item level after that.
And it's like it feels really good, and I've said it lots of times. Again, we're getting slightly off topic here because it's not quite to do with the new expansion and stuff like that, but it does have.
It will definitely impact it, right? So new expansion.
Yeah, because it's design decisions. Interesting if we'll carry that on or not.
Yeah, like the going forward. I feel like when it's so easy to gear, and I think a lot of it's down to a community. I think this is, again, it's one of the things that I want to discuss is community. Like they're trying to push for this community driven, and it's like, are we smart enough as a community to actually push the direction we want this game? Do we, like, the community, in my opinion, is stupid. Like, I don't think we're actually smart enough.
Also, can't agree anyway.
Can't
agree with each other anyway. So,
like, yeah, exactly. We can't agree. Everyone has a different direction that they want to push this game. I think a lot of people who push high-end Mythic Plus wishes that they could just log in and get instant geared, so that they can just push the highest key, and that's how they would enjoy the game. And it's like, yeah, but the game's not designed around that. The game isn't that, right? And it's like, different people are going to push in different ways. I personally, I do not think I'm smart enough to make good decisions on the way that the game should be pushed. I can have an opinion on it. I do not think my opinion is good.
Yeah, your opinion's always going to be biased. So
yeah, exactly. To the content that you do. I think
the game what they want.
I was going to say, I have some of the most extreme opinions. Nobody will disagree with that. With that, I'm like,
Mythic Plus loot. There's been moments.
Mythic Plus loot, no, nerf it into the ground. They get one piece of loot from one dungeon per week. That's it. Job done. No more loot for them. Delete the Great Vault. Like, I'm like,
thank you.
I'm like super extreme. But at the same time, it's like, I don't think for I try not to think for myself. I try to think for the game as a whole. I do try to think about that, because nerfing the Great Vault, that would screw me in terms of gearing and things like that. Like, I'm Mythic Plus. I am one of the fastest in our guild, one of the fastest to gear, because I push keys. I do keys. But I'm like, no, nerf it all. And I am a raider. Like, so yeah, of course I'm going to say nerf Mythic Plus. Keep raid loot good. Keep raid loot good. So yeah, like, and that's what I mean. Like, I get that they get the nice varied opinions of all the communities, but it's like, do you want the actual community opinion, or is it worth making bad community decisions for good gameplay choices? Like, is it worth actually upsetting your community to make a good gameplay choice and go, no, we actually think this is good for gameplay. You're not going to like it. Like, with deleting the Great Vault, I think there would be outrage with loads of people. Yeah. And it's like,
casual players are mad.
That's like the best bit of the week at the minute. Like,
I hate it. I actually hate the Great Vault. I really hate it.
I hate not getting that trinket.
Yeah, I was going to say, it sucks when you don't get that item that you want.
It's like a love-hate relationship. Sometimes it feels really good, and other times everyone gets a nice piece of gear and you don't, and you feel really bad.
Oh, that's the worst. Seeing other people going, look what I got.
Especially the first few weeks when it actually really matters, you know?
But that's
like trying to be happy. Oh, that's really good for you.
It's the things that worry me.
I hate you so much.
It's definitely one of the things that worry me when they say, like, oh, we're going forward, we're going to be more community driven. We're going to be more like, we're listening to feedback. And I'm like, don't listen to feedback. Like, stop. Like, actually make decisions.
I think they should listen to feedback, but I think they need to have a filter on it. They don't, you know what I mean? It needs to be like, okay, this is the feedback. What can we do with this? Not like, oh, this is feedback. Okay, we'll do exactly this. So, you know, I think feedback's good. It just has to have a filter on it.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah. And it's like, it's the same, like content pacing. I feel like they listen to the community way too hard on that. Like, content pacing, Dragonflight Season 1, for me, was too short. It was way too short. I felt like we were...
Got the numbers. I've actually got seasons, I've got raids. So the first raid was just short of 5 months from the point of release.
It's so short. And
what was that like? Do you have previous expansions that interest, or?
I do, all the way up to
numbers guy here.
See the Excel just went bing.
Yes, I seen your face and you light up there. Yeah. A halo of light just hit you. You know.
Yeah. So Dragonflight, it was exactly 8.5-ish months from how long we had Sepulchre up until Dragonflight was released. The obviously the end raid is always much longer. And then we had Aberrus, whatever you want to call it, just start of May. It was just short of 5 months from having Vault of Incarnates, which was pretty much on release, right? It was like 2 weeks after release. And then we're going to get this new raid this week.
This week Wednesday.
This week coming, yeah, which is just over 6 months. For Shadowlands, we had Castle Nafia on release. And then 7 months later, we had Sanctum. And then 8 months later, we had Sepulchre. And then it was 8 months, just short of 9 months until the start of Dragonflight. It was much longer in Shadowlands.
And I think a lot of people feel like this season it has felt longer than basically any season we've had when they started this whole season thing.
It hasn't been too bad. 6 months.
6 months. I still feel like it's relatively short for me.
I think this felt long because it was the gearing thing, because you geared so quickly and then it felt like you didn't really need anything, so that made it feel long. I think that's why.
I don't want to. Someone asked what is wrong with making what people want, and I don't think it's making what.
I never satisfy everyone.
I was going to say,
everyone wants different things. That's the problem, I think.
Now, this game would look completely different if it went from a PvP minded person.
Yeah,
had all their sort of.
And I also think that sometimes what people don't actually know what they want, because we're not game developers. Okay, there's an ad, so we're gonna. I'll come back to that.
Was there an ad?
Yeah, I forgot about ads. But yeah, I do think that people don't actually know what they want.
No.
They want.
Naya Loafer was 10 months though. I didn't know that. I didn't play that.
Naya Loafer was really good though. A lot of people like. I didn't really like.
How long was Dragon Soul again? Interest. Dragon Soul felt like it was forever. It's like 2 years or something.
Not the longest. Dragonflight was 10 months.
I think literally.
Dragon Soul was that?
Sorry.
Yeah.
Dragon Soul was up until the point where Mist really.
It felt about 2 years, so I just wondered.
It did, right? But no, it's 10 months. One of the worst has been Siege, which was.
Siege was really long. Yeah.
14 months, and then Hellfire Citadel, which was a long time as well.
Yeah, they were both pretty long, but they
didn't really. Siege was as long as that. Actually, that's crazy. 14 months is
a
long time for one team.
Fun again because
that was a good raid.
Progress.
Siege was the best raid ever.
Yeah, but there was
going into Orgrimmar and attacking them. It was amazing.
Siege was good.
It was one of those raids where
Throne of Thunder still better than.
Progress was a thing. Like you progressed your gear, and I know people aren't going to agree with me on this, but gear dictates the pace of the game. If you gear quickly, the seasons feel short. If you gear slower, the seasons feel. Sorry, if you gear quickly, the season feels long. If you gear very slowly, the season feels shorter because you're making progress towards an objective.
I actually do. Like, I agree with how this season felt. I agree with you because it felt really long when it actually wasn't.
And gear is the be all, like, regardless of what anyone says, like, I play for the community and things like that. The game is about gear. That is the game at the end of the day.
I want to feel more powerful. That's the idea of the game.
Yeah, it's an MMO, like an MMORPG. That's what it's about. It's about make your character stronger. Progression. That's what you play.
I don't necessarily like how'd you put it. I don't necessarily think we need to go back to the classic where it's like it takes you 14 years to gear up a character or anything like that.
No.
But I think they need to take I think they've needed to take steps back from Shadowlands, that we gear too quickly, because I think it makes content pacing so hard, and I think it just, the whole game is designed around gear. Gear is the most important thing that they need to take into account. If you have too good gear, it makes it very hard to design around gear. And everything is designed around gear.
Yep, agreed.
If you're trying to make hard content and everyone has the best gear, so Mythic Raid, you have to design Mythic Raids around everyone having the best gear, which means that the only way you punish people is one-shot them, and then you get pass-fail mechanics. And that sucks.
Yeah.
Nobody wants pass-fail mechanics.
Mythic Raids at the minute, yeah.
Nobody ever wants pass-fail mechanics, because...
especially feels bad when someone else makes a mistake, and not only do they die, you die as well.
It's the worst where everyone gets one, and if one person messes it up, the whole raid loses.
Group-wide pass-fail mechanics are the worst. That was actually on my sheet, on whether or not how we feel about raiding in general. Whether or not like I said, whether or not pushing into... And I just wanted to recover that question. What is wrong with making a game that people want? Like we said, I think partially it's down to everyone wants something different. Like I want very, very slow gameplay, not gameplay. I like the speed at which we play the game, but I want slower gearing. I want more
progression, I guess. Yeah.
Progression. I want my character to feel like it's a journey, not I logged in, I've now gained all of the gear in 3 weeks. that's not what I want. But some people want that because they want to push Mythic Plus.
One extreme to the other, though, isn't it?
You can't really do that in both ways. And like I said, whether or not the community knows what's the right decision, just because something's perceived as a bad, I think one of the biggest ones for me was the Blood DK nerf in Shadowlands. Everyone was outraged that was in the high-end community when they nerfed Blood DK and the way they nerfed Blood DK. Personally, I think it was a good change for the game, but they revoked it because of the community, because of the community feedback. And it's like, no, stick with it. That was actually a good change. It opened up other tank avenues.
Yeah, because Blood DK just dominated the rest
of the season
anyway.
When you have a class, again, this is diverging slightly, but like when you have a class like a DK that can take 90% less damage from auto attacks, and you have things like keys where 90% of your damage is auto attacks, you're basically dictating what is going to be the best tank for that season. They should have just stuck with the initial nerf where it was like, no, we're capping Dancing Rune Weapon. You cannot keep it up 100% of the time. That is way too good. Done.
Which it was.
It was too good. And it's like, no, we revoked that because the high-end community complained because they were like, if you do this, then Blood DK can't be played at all. Again, over-exaggeration. Blood DK could still be played even with that nerf.
It does become a problem as well when people push keys to a certain level and they're trying to push past that, and then something gets nerfed heavily. It actually limits how far people. I think that becomes an issue too.
Yeah.
I think where some of the complaints come in. I guess that means like that. I guess it's that part of the community that they're sort of going for.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a good point.
We did mention hero talents earlier, especially about like the visual changes and things like that. Do you see that being a problem in Mythic Plus, that people are going to want to play?
I think people playing at the top end aren't really going to care. They're going to play what's best, but it still doesn't feel great.
It's more as it filters down into players of our level. That, like, for example, I played Vampire Brewmaster. I don't care what I play. I will play what I think is fun. But do you think there's going to be upset because, for example, I know one of the hero classes, I'm going to call them hero classes because they remind me very much of Ascendancies from PoE. They got that very similar vibe where it's like a class within a class. And it's like, there are people who are going to want to play Dark Ranger. That was something people have wanted to play for a very long time. Dark Ranger is not as good as whatever the other hunter spec is. How do you tell them? How do you go, we're not inviting you because you're a Dark Ranger, so we don't want you in our group? Like, do you end up with even more division?
Yeah, it is a little bit like Covenant, I suppose, in that way. Like,
I was going to say, they do feel like Covenant 2.0, where it's like, yeah, you can swap, but it's like, I don't want to swap. And it's like, I want to play Dark Ranger. That's my character's identity. And again, it comes down to class loyalty. And these systems just feel like they push away from class loyalty. Not push away. This one actually pushes into class loyalty. But again, because it's going to be so easy to swap, nobody's going to be loyal to the one that they want to play unless you're playing with a set group of people who will let you do that.
I'm hoping it's more AoE, Dark Ranger, if you want to say, and then the other one. So it's not you fix in because this is the fantasy or the direction
they're adding aesthetics to it. Like, it's aesthetics. So Dark Ranger will have Dark Ranger aesthetics. So you can actually play as a Dark Ranger. And it's like, if you've got a class that you want to play as an aesthetic, you have to play with a fixed group. It's very...
I think it'd be better if those things were separate, if that was like a separate aesthetic thing that you could, choose and not affect how your game plays. I think that would be better.
I agree, actually. If they're going to do that, then I'd like it not to be tied into a certain set of talents.
Again, and it's like one of those that
you have to take.
This was my original point about, especially with the Dark, like with the Covenant systems. I preferred it when they were locked because it was that I picked this because I wanted to play this. I think one of the biggest issues with it is that people couldn't test, do I like this way of playing or this way of playing or this way of playing? And it's like, yeah, you can get into the highest tier of content. Highest tier of content do not care about aesthetics. So they're not playing, they don't care about the playstyle, they don't care about aesthetics. They care about one thing, and that's pushing. They will play whatever is best. And there are people who will copy that. You don't have to, but there will be people who copy that. But it feels like when you don't lock it off, when you don't force people into locking into it, they feel like they have to swap just to get into groups. And again, it's like one of those things. That's why I preferred when Covenants, for example, were locked. I would prefer if these talents were locked. If I played Dark Ranger, it's because I want to be a Dark Ranger. If I play Sandland, it's because I want to be my Vampire DK. I don't want to play Riders of the Apocalypse. I want to be my Vampire DK.
Again, I think it was similar to Covenants. I think that should have always been aesthetic as well. I don't think that should have been linked into how your character actually plays. Like that's what created so many issues, because there's always the best one, and it might not be what you actually want to play.
Yeah, and I feel like a lot of these issues they're from the point of pugging, right? You're gonna get issues when you pug with people. This is why I don't pug.
But
all these issues are gone.
I don't think that's. I don't think.
Just get some friends.
I personally don't think there's like, and some people might. There are great communities for that where you will be able to do that. Like part of Oasis will help you. There's Dungeon Dojo. There's Perky Pugs. They will help you get into groups. But some people don't want to do that. They don't want to have to go through an avenue. And it becomes a question of whether it's to me, it's a community issue, not a Blizzard issue. Blizzard can't fix it. They won't ever fix it.
I agree.
The community needs to change and stop pushing when they don't need to push.
Yeah, that's what I mean about the pug issue, right? It's community driven.
Yeah,
it's not going to change. That's the thing. It's not just why
it's not going to change.
That's just how people are. If something is 0.5% better, it's going to be what they want to take. It's just...
and the worst is, again, if it's a big streamer that's turned around and said, this is the comp, this is what you should play, you don't play that. And you're just not... Even things like
MDI as well, people see what people are doing there and playing there, and that influences pugs a lot.
Absolutely. And even if, I think we've mentioned this in the past, even if playing this is the best way, but actually it's not how best you perform.
I was going to say
another spec or a different
playing something you don't enjoy,
would actually be better performance, but
play something you enjoy, not saying that you will perform better. I will always believe that, unless you're in the very, very, very peak of gameplay. If you play something you enjoy, and even at the peak of gameplay, I have a funny feeling they play classes that they like better than they play classes that they don't like. Okay.
Yeah.
There's a couple more things. We got about 5 minutes because we're losing someone in about 5 minutes. So we're just, I just wanted to cover a couple more things. Mostly, and it is because, like I said, I think the game is hugely based around gear. Delves are going to offer gear.
Oh yeah,
like
Delves.
Yeah.
I'm actually quite excited for the concept of Delves. I think Delves look really fun.
I like it. The worst thing about Torghast, which is kind of what this is similar to, right?
Yeah,
they're very Torghast-y scenarios.
You had to go to Torghast to get.
It was a chore. It became people call it Choregast or Porghast. You know,
like Jesus, I don't want to have to go there. But there were times where I just, at the start anyway, when I was just like running Torghast for fun because it was a good way to pass the time. And this is what this will now be in my eyes anyway. So that's a positive. I don't have to do this, but if there's no one on and I just fancy playing WoW by myself, listening to a bit of music, going to a Delves.
It's nice to have an option that you're not forced into feeling like you have to do every week.
Do you feel
something you don't enjoy?
Do you feel the fact that they're going to give a new reward track on the Great Vault as something that you feel like you're going to have to do because you're going to want that reward?
They haven't. It depends on the item level. I think at the end of the day, like if it's like lower than Mythic Plus gear, or like
it's going to be equal
at the beginning
to the best, right? Because if it's on the reward track, they're gonna. It's the same, right? It's they're gonna have to give it at the best eye level because otherwise it's like.
I don't know about that, but
I don't know about that. But that's only if you're at the start when you're really hunting for gear, right? You want as many options.
Well, it's like one of those pieces. Okay, so it's the maximum will be to heroic gear. But heroic gear, especially early, is like so. It feels
early on, it'll be a big deal.
I suppose it depends how easy it is to get it early on. You know how easy it is to get it to that heroic level, or
But wait, is it heroic level from the actual delve? Like Mythic Plus. Mythic Plus is heroic level, and then you get the vault, which is Mythic track.
Yeah, or can it be upgraded to that? I mean,
yeah,
that's a good point. Can it be upgraded?
If it's,
I don't really like the idea of like solo gear being like the same value stuff you have to group up for.
Exactly, and it's
I
like
think that's right. Yeah.
It's like one of those things like, oh, we're respecting time, and it's like, are you respecting time when
you're devaluing my time?
Devaluing raid gear, for example.
Yeah, I don't agree with that. But
one
I
last
like the
thing.
idea of delves.
Again, it's loot, very similar, is the fact that PvP is going to have deterministic rewards. Is this saying that you're going to feel like you're going to want to push early? You're going to want to PvP to try and get, say, a very deterministic piece, because weapons are usually expensive, but for example, you could get chest, legs, shoulders, hands.
Yeah, high value stuff.
We did that in Shadowlands, didn't we? We jumped in to get
but especially with the introduction of the catalyst, the fact that PvP is going to have deterministic rewards, and it's going to be separate from the Great Vault now. You go across, you go and do your PvP, get a decent piece, and if the catalyst is open, if you get unlucky, that's a guaranteed tier piece that you can go and catalyze. Like, or even if it's not, it's a guaranteed piece of gear. And even if it's slightly lower eye level or anything like that, if you've been unlucky, it fills a slot that it feels like you're going to be forced to do PvP again.
Yeah, I'm not a big fan. Like, as a mostly PvE player, I'm not a big fan of feeling forced.
I was
going to
say it was just one of those things. The fact that
I feel like it should be completely separate, personally.
The fact that it was more deterministic because they said it doesn't work. That PvP gear is random. I don't know.
Yeah, in some ways it's fine, but if it starts affecting PvE players where you have to feel like you have to PvP, I'm not a fan of that at all.
The argument will be from PvP players, we have to do PvE for trinkets
and stuff.
Can't use that as an.
I think it's the case that a lot of people don't want to do PvP. I don't mind doing it, but I just don't want to. I don't want to have to do it. I want to do it because I want to do it.
Yeah. It's never nice being forced into content that's not, especially because PvP is so different than PvE. It's not really related, like, in terms of the actual gameplay. It's so different.
Yeah,
it's so different. Yeah.
So if we try and close out here, and just say, if we had to say like one thing that we're like maybe worried about, one thing that we're super excited about, what is the one thing you're worried about?
Mine was the content thing, right?
Yeah, the fact that we could end up with year expansions and no
I'm being forced to pay for a patch.
Yeah.
That was my issue. And then I think that, but the positive is the same thing. Technically, is that we're getting 6 years worth of content. They're definitely locked in to this story and committed to, doing it by whatever date. So that is good to see, right? You don't want to see a dev that is a bit wishy-washy, doesn't know what they're going to do next. Gives a bit of security to the devs as well. They know they've got a project for 6 years at least to work on. Not going to disappear and run out of employers, cut halfway through and go, actually, we didn't have enough devs to work on this tier. Sorry. So yeah, I think it's a positive and a negative in the same thing, really.
Yeah, and Tyrannus?
Yeah. For me, it's definitely the 3-day early access thing. It's the way they're selling it more, where they're saying, "Oh, it's a benefit. It's not, it would offer own benefits to people, but they're basically taking something away from you." And it would worry me going on that they do more of that. Maybe it becomes more microtransaction in some ways, or like, okay, we're offering extra value by taking stuff away. So that would worry me. Not to keep going down that route. Also, it would be quite close to Rick Astley. I think I quite like the fact that they've set the story up for 3 expansions. It means it's maybe be a bit more coherent, everything be a bit more linked in. So I'm quite excited for that. Actually, having one big connected storyline for the next, say, 6 years.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, I think for me, early access is definitely my least favorite thing. Like, I can't stand it. Early access and beta access. but we talked about that a lot, and I think my favorite thing. I think I'm actually looking forward to delves. The content actually looks really interesting to me. I think I really, really like, it's different, and I'm hoping it's similar. I'm actually hoping it's similar to scenarios from Miss Pandaria, because I actually was doing those the other day. I was doing saying, I can't remember what it was, but I was doing the scenarios or saying there was a scenario, and I was like, this is so much fun. This is so much better than, like, this is what we need, this sort of thing back, because these were fun. And if we get those back, I'd be super happy.
It was like the Fault or something, or it was some kind of, like, I can't remember what he called it exactly, Miss Pandaria, but it was quite fun. We got the keys for and things like that.
Yeah, like the Throne of Thunder Vault key thing where you go
I actually really enjoyed it.
Keys. Yeah, like, it was just different. So I'm
something
hoping
different. It was actually quite fun and fast to do.
Yeah, I'm hoping it's something similar to that, and it's really fun. We'll find out when we get to test, because we all got beta access, and I expect
beta testers now. Yeah,
I expect everyone with beta testing to be with beta access to be actually testing and actually giving feedback. Set your expectations to 0, right? But yeah, okay, so yeah, thank you for this. Maybe we can do this again in actually make it a little bit more regular.
2 years or 18 months.
No, maybe make it a bit more regular. Maybe just talk actual game.
It was good fun. Because there's a lot. Because we got a little bit sidetracked because there's a lot of stuff to talk about in general. So
yeah.
Oh yeah.
Like the game is so big. But yeah, maybe we can do this a bit more.
Absolutely.
Hopefully people enjoyed it, and yeah, it will be on. It will be on YouTube at some point.
Be famous, Mom.
Yeah.
Cheers. I'll be back in. Actually, we'll all be back, all 3 of us, I believe, but they won't be.
Yep. I'm going out for dinner now quickly, and then coming back for a gnome race.
Yeah, we're going to be gnome racing.
I guess in 3 then. Yeah.
So, yeah, we'll see you in about an hour and a half.
Cool. Right.
Yeah. So thank you for that.
Yeah.
Thanks for having us.
Cheers.
See you in a bit.
See you.
Bye.
Catch you later.